For money, I ended up in the bed of Damian Remington, a major figure in the capital circle. For over 1,000 nights, he always found new ways to wear me out. Later, his old flame from his youth returned from abroad, and I secretly left while pregnant. I thought we'd never cross paths again. 5 years later, the kindergarten teacher called to tell me my daughter was missing. I searched for a long time and finally found a large figure and a small one at my doorstep. My daughter, sucking on a lollipop, asked indistinctly, "Mommy, this handsome uncle says he's my daddy, but didn't you say my daddy was dead?" That night, the man pinned me down, asking again and again, "Tell me who exactly is dead." I was wrong. "It's me, I'm the one who's dying." One staring at the test results in my hand, I couldn't snap out of it for a long time. I asked the doctor, "Am I really pregnant?" "Yes, for 2 months." 2 months. It must have happened that time in the car. It rained that day, I didn't have an umbrella, and a male colleague from work kindly drove me home. Just as I was getting out of the car, I ran into Damian Remington returning from a business trip. He was usually serious and unsmiling, already radiating a cold, keep-away aura. That night, his expression was even darker, utterly terrifying. He forcefully pulled me into his car and kissed me hard right in front of my colleague. "Vivian Hayes, I'm not dead yet, and you're already eager to find your next keeper. What, wasn't I enough for you?" My face flushed red, and I quickly covered his mouth. "Stop it." But he stared at my rain-soaked blouse, his gaze growing deeper, more intense. That night, he wore me out until midnight. When I got out of the car, my legs were like jelly. In the end, he carried me upstairs. For these past 3 years, I've always known my place. The position of Mrs. Remington was never going to be mine. I never aspired to it. But I never expected that, despite being so careful, I'd still slip up. Just as I walked out of the hospital, I got a call from Damian Remington. "Where have you been?" I lied instinctively. "Out shopping, buying you a birthday present." He chuckled lightly on the other end of the line. "Another tie? Vivian Hayes, can't you be a little more creative?" I took a deep breath and asked him, "Then, what kind of gift do you want?" After hanging up, I looked at the lingerie photos he sent and gasped. So revealing? If I wore that, I wouldn't survive the night. In the end, I didn't buy the gift he expected. Since he didn't like ties, I chose a belt. It was his money anyway. When I got home, he wasn't back yet. Today was his birthday. Usually, he spent it with his childhood friends. Figuring he'd probably be back late again, I ate dinner alone, took a shower, and planned to go to bed early. After washing up, just as I stepped out of the bathroom, someone wrapped their arms tightly around me from behind. My body stiffened, but recognizing the familiar scent, I relaxed. Damian buried his face in my neck, his warm breath sending shivers down my spine. Strange, why was he back so early today? As if sensing my distraction, he suddenly bit me hard. Hiss. Is he part dog? But I dared not voice my anger. I just whispered, "That hurts. Hurt or not, endure it." As he spoke, he scooped me up and quickly tossed me onto the bed. Over the past 3 years, he'd hardly ever been gentle in bed. Tonight was no different. My nightgown was torn open. Just as I was losing myself in the moment, I heard him ask, "Where's my birthday present?" I pointed to the nightstand. After opening it, Damian saw the belt inside and chuckled softly. He raised an eyebrow. "What, planning to tie me up with this?" Looking at his stern face, I instinctively shook my head. How would I dare? What position did I hold? Just a secret lover, hidden from the light. Good that you know. With that, Damian picked up the belt and deftly tied my hands together. The rough leather chafed uncomfortably. Even more shameful was my current state. "Mr. Remington, don't," before I could finish, his kiss silenced me. He was always like this. In business, decisive and swift, feared by everyone. In bed, domineering and rough, always making me cry. That night, my voice was nearly hoarse from shouting. When it was over and he got up, I realized his entire back was red from my scratches. After showering, Damian pulled me into his arms and quickly fell asleep. But I lay awake all night. My first encounter with Damian Remington was 3 years ago. He had donated 2 academic buildings to our university. On the completion day, he was invited to attend the ribbon-cutting ceremony. I was working as one of the ceremonial hostesses that day. Lost in thought, I accidentally spilled champagne on him. The school officials looked displeased and told me to apologize to Mr. Remington immediately. After leaving the stage, I learned from an upperclassman just what kind of powerful figure I had offended. As the richest man in the capital, Damian Remington could make the sky fall with a stomp of his foot. After the event, I caught up to his car at the campus gate. He sat inside, wearing sunglasses, his expression unreadable. I carefully explained my purpose. "Mr. Remington, I'm terribly sorry for dirtying your clothes. Could you please tell me the brand? I'll compensate you with a new one." After I spoke, his assistant laughed. "Miss, do you have any idea how much Mr. Remington's clothes cost?" After stating an astronomical sum, the assistant added, "Also, his suits are custom made by hand in Italy. You can't buy them off the rack." In that moment, I wished the ground would swallow me up for my own ignorance and audacity. In my extreme embarrassment, I saw Damian take off the jacket and say coolly, "Since it's dirty, just throw it away." The car window closed before my eyes, like a gate separating our two different worlds. I thought that would be the end of my interactions with such a figure. Who knew that a few months later, my mother's illness would relapse, urgently requiring a large sum of money for surgery. We had borrowed from all our relatives over the years. The university had also helped me many times. This time, I had almost reached a dead end. Seeing my mother's suffering expression, I gritted my teeth and rushed straight to the Remington Corporation headquarters. For some reason, he actually agreed to see me. When the assistant led me up, Damian was sitting behind a large, expensive desk, legs crossed. After hearing my reason for coming, through the rising smoke of his cigarette, he asked meaningfully, "You want my help? Then, Miss Hayes, what are you willing to offer in return?" "I can write you an IOU. You can set the interest rate. Once I graduate and start earning money, I promise I'll pay you back with interest." But he just laughed. His burning gaze swept over me, inch by inch, invading every part of my body. After a long wait, he finally spoke. "Money, I have plenty of that. What I want. Miss Hayes, you're a smart person. Why don't you guess for yourself?" With that, I was ushered out. Before I left, his assistant gave me an address. "Be there at 8 p.m. sharp. Mr. Remington said if you're late, don't bother coming." At 22, apart from my untouched body, I had nothing. That night, wearing a white lace nightgown, I climbed into his bed. The nightgown was torn to shreds, and along with it, my pitiful self-respect. 3 years passed like that. We had agreed. I would accompany him for 5 years. During these 5 years, I had to be available whenever he called and couldn't refuse any of his requests. When the time was up, he would let me go free. But my mother didn't hold on that long. In my second year with Damian, Mom passed away. Thankfully, she never knew that the daughter she had been most proud of since childhood had long since sold her body for money. I finally fell asleep around 4 or 5 in the morning. I had many dreams, sometimes of Mom, sometimes of Damian. In one dream, he coldly took me to the hospital, forcing me to abort the child in my belly. "Vivian Hayes, you should know your place," he said. When I woke up, it was already noon. I thought Damian wasn't home, but just as I reached the balcony door, I heard him on the phone. On the other end was the voice of his childhood friend, Colin Cooper. It was noisy there, so Colin's voice was loud, and I heard everything clearly. "Damian, Sophia's already here. Where are you?" "Still at home, be there soon." "Okay, hurry up. Everyone's waiting for you to cut the cake. By the way, have you dealt with your little canary? Don't let Sophia see her, or there'll be trouble." "Don't worry, I know what to do." After hanging up, Damian went downstairs, presumably preparing to meet Sophia Beaumont. I quietly washed up, then went downstairs to eat. Surprisingly, he hadn't left yet. Damian was leaning against the sofa, smoking, seemingly lost in thought. After a moment's consideration, I walked over and helped him tie his tie. We were very close, our breaths mingling, his eyes fixed on me the entire time. Before leaving, he said softly, "Don't go out today. Wait for me to come back. I have something to tell you." Okay. What else could it be? Probably telling me to get lost. After all, his beloved had returned. 2 hours later, Sophia Beaumont updated her social media account. She posted pictures of the cake and a photo of herself with Damian. The caption read, "Back again, everything's just like it used to be." Over the past 3 years, I had heard many things about Sophia Beaumont. They said she and Damian grew up together, that she was the old flame he had loved for years. This very villa we were in had a large room specially reserved for Sophia. And the reason Damian had donated to our university was because it was Sophia's alma mater. In the photo, both looked stunning, their smiles radiant. I had to admit, they looked perfect together. Whether in terms of family background or appearance, they were like the prince and princess from a fairy tale. As for me, I was just a substitute after Sophia went abroad, responsible for satisfying Damian's physical needs. That night, I waited on the living room sofa until the early morning hours, but Damian didn't come back. The next day, news of him and Sophia entering and leaving a hotel became a trending topic. Watching it, I suddenly felt a wave of nausea and rushed to the bathroom to retch. After washing my face, I looked at my pale reflection in the mirror. Suddenly, I made up my mind. I had to leave. Otherwise, I would become a shameful other woman, and my child would never be able to hold their head high. Over the past 3 years, I had thought about leaving countless times, but I never expected the day would come so suddenly. I packed my things quickly. Apart from my documents and some personal belongings, I took nothing else. Damian had been generous with me over the 3 years, and I had saved up a lot of money. Enough for me and the child to live on for the rest of our lives. I told Agnes Gable I wanted to visit my mother's grave and that she didn't need to make dinner for me tonight. The driver offered to take me, but I refused. The taxi sped along the road, first passing the Remington Corporation headquarters, then my alma mater. While waiting at a traffic light near the campus gate, I saw Damian's Maybach in the distance. Almost instinctively, I looked inside the car. In that fleeting moment, I saw Sophia Beaumont leaning intimately against Damian's shoulder. At that instant, my heart ached. I had been hesitating, wondering if I should say goodbye to Damian. After all, he had helped me a lot when Mom was sick. But in that moment, I suddenly felt it was unnecessary. Sophia was back. Leaving quietly was better for me, and for Damian. Before takeoff, I suddenly received a call from Damian. For the past 3 years, I had always answered his calls immediately. But today, I let the phone ring incessantly. Then, I turned it off and removed the SIM card. I knew Damian's temperament, he had his pride, he wouldn't call a second time. Perfect. It gave me enough time to escape. As the plane took off, countless lights sped past below me until they were no longer visible. Goodbye, capital city. Goodbye, Damian Remington. A few months later, I gave birth to a girl. I named her Annie, hoping she would live a life of peace, smoothness, and longevity. Annie was sensible from a young age. In the first month after birth, I got mastitis and had to wean her early. She was obedient, neither crying nor fussing. When she was 2, she had a high fever for several days. When I cried secretly at night, she wiped away my tears and said softly, "Mommy, don't cry, don't cry." Many times, I felt secretly fortunate that I had chosen to keep her back then. Since Mom left, I hadn't felt this happy in a long time. The days of raising a child, though busy, passed quickly. In the blink of an eye, Annie was 3.5. After much thought, I decided to bring her back home. Western food was really hard to get used to, and living abroad always left me feeling like I didn't belong. Though I worried about running into Damian Remington. What if he discovered Annie's existence and wanted to fight me for custody? But then I thought, he must have married Sophia Beaumont by now, right? Perhaps they even had children of their own. As for me, a fleeting passerby, he must have forgotten me long ago. Besides, the capital was so big. The places they frequented were places I would never set foot in. We probably wouldn't meet. And so, I brought Annie back to the long-departed capital city. I bought a pre-owned apartment in a good school district. The previous owner's decor was cozy, ready to move in. I also rented a space for a flower shop near our complex. This way, I could take care of Annie and have something of my own to do. It was the weekend, and I received a last-minute order. The customer chose the most expensive bouquet in the shop and asked for immediate delivery. After waiting a long time, no delivery person accepted the order. Having no choice, I had to deliver it myself. The address was in the city's most exclusive residential area, quite far from my shop. After finally arriving, I rang the doorbell for a long time, but no one answered. I was about to call when the door opened. Damian Remington appeared unexpectedly before me. 4 years had passed. He had lost some weight but looked more mature and stern. "Who are you looking for?" He stood with his hands in his pockets, a look of impatience on his face. "Hello, the flowers you ordered." I quickly handed him the gift box. Thankfully, it was windy today, and I was wearing a mask. Compared to when we were together, when I wore meticulous makeup daily, today I was barefaced. He probably wouldn't recognize me. Sure enough, he glanced at me briefly, took the box expressionlessly, and then closed the door. I breathed a sigh of relief and turned to leave. Suddenly, he called out to stop me. "Wait a minute." 7. I froze on the spot. I wanted to run, but I was afraid he'd notice something was wrong. I didn't dare turn around, lest he recognize me, seeing me motionless. He walked up behind me, step by step like death approaching. "It's over." Just as I was wondering how to respond, someone came out and called him. "Damian, where are my flowers?" "At the door." "What are you doing out there?" "Hurry up, it's time to cut the cake." After the woman spoke, I heard a child inside shouting loudly, "Daddy, come quick, I want cake." After they went inside, after a little while, I peeked through the backyard fence and saw the scene in the main hall. It looked like a birthday party with many people inside. In the crowd, I saw Sophia Beaumont. Elegantly made up, she held a piece of cake and handed it to Damian. Beside her stood a little boy, about 2 or 3 years old. The boy's features looked very similar to Damian's, so they did get married and had a child. I smiled faintly and turned to leave. After being nervous for a few days, I realized my worries were unnecessary. Damian Remington didn't appear before me. Neither did anyone from the Remington family. He probably didn't recognize me that day. That was good. We were people from different worlds anyway. One day, orders at the shop suddenly surged. After dropping Annie off, I was busy from early morning. By 4 or 5 in the afternoon, I still wasn't finished. Having no choice, I had to call the teacher. "Miss Parker, could I trouble you to bring Annie to my shop? I can't get away right now." Annie's kindergarten teacher lived in the same residential complex as us. She had helped me out several times before when something urgent came up. But surprisingly, she asked doubtfully over the phone, "Wasn't Annie picked up by her father?" Father. A strong sense of unease instantly rose within me. Could it be Damian? I rushed to the kindergarten. When we met, Miss Parker told me that a man had come to pick up Annie in the afternoon, claiming to be my husband, Annie's father. She was going to call me to confirm, but she couldn't get through to my phone. Not only did the man look remarkably similar to Annie, but he also produced a marriage certificate. And so, Annie was taken away. Watching the surveillance video, it was indeed Damian. I immediately reported it to the police. Just as the police were trying to contact the Remington Corporation, I received a photo. In the picture, Annie was sitting at the entrance of our building, eating a lollipop. Along with it came a text message. "Vivian Hayes, come home." 8. I hurried back to the complex. At the entrance of the apartment building, a dozen men in black suits stood in a row. Neighbors murmured nervously among themselves as they went upstairs. "What's going on? Are the mafia here to collect debts? Have you contacted property management? Should we call the police?" "Already did. They said they're looking for a wife and child." "Oh, which young couple is it?" I didn't dare say they were looking for me and rushed straight up to the 3rd floor. Just as I reached my door, I saw Annie sitting in a child-sized toy sports car, intently watching cartoons on a tablet. Annie, before I could finish, I was hugged tightly from behind. 4 years apart, Damian still easily overpowered me. One arm wrapped around my waist, the other trapped me between him and the wall. Then, his possessive kiss descended. This kiss was full of aggression, laced with anger and coldness. As if punishing me for leaving without saying goodbye back then, I pushed him hard. But the more I pushed, the harder he kissed. Until Annie shouted loudly from the side, "Mommy, what are you doing?" "Bad uncle, let my mommy go." Annie climbed out of the car, her little fists pounding hard on Damian's shins. He released me, bent down, and picked Annie up. When he looked at me again, his eyes were dark and deep as ink. He sneered, "You decided to come back." My heart trembled. Ignoring him, I hurried to hug Annie. "Mr. Remington, please let go." He raised an eyebrow, his hands not moving an inch. "What if I don't? Then I'll call the police." Coincidentally, I had kept the police officer's contact information today. Damian chuckled as if he'd heard a funny joke. "Fine, go ahead, report it." "What are you going to tell the police? A father visiting his own daughter isn't illegal, is it?" "He knows." My face turned pale and I quickly retorted, "Nonsense, she's not your daughter." "Oh, really? Should I show you the paternity test right now? It's over." He came prepared. Right, with his power and influence, investigating Annie's parentage would be incredibly easy. During the standoff, Annie, still sucking her lollipop, asked me with wide eyes, "Mommy, this handsome uncle says he's my daddy. But didn't you say my daddy was dead?" 9. As Damian stood there with a livid expression, I opened the door. I told Annie to go play in her room first. After settling her down, I closed the door tightly. Then I said to the man on the sofa, "Mr. Remington, let's talk." Damian looked up at me. Even though I was standing and he was sitting, he still radiated an air of condescending authority. Just like our relationship over the past 3 years, he was always high and mighty, while I was at his beck and call. But things were different now. He was no longer my sponsor, and I no longer needed to be deferential to him. So, I said directly, "Annie is my daughter. I won't give her up to you. I know your Remington family is very rich and might hire a top-tier legal team. But I'm not afraid. I am her biological mother. I've raised her myself bit by bit since she was born, and I have a job. I believe the judge will support me." I said it all in one breath, then looked at him calmly, waiting for his reaction. To my surprise, he started laughing. "Finished? You prepared this speech in advance, didn't you?" He was right. After running into him unexpectedly that day, I had drafted this in my head countless times. I would definitely not give up fighting for Annie's custody, however. Damian's next words stunned me. "I'm not here to fight you for Annie. Then what did you come here for? To find you. And then drag you back, continue our previous contract. Allow me to remind you, the term of our agreement was 5 years, but you only fulfilled 3 years. There are still 2 years left. Isn't it time to pay up?" Damian Remington, I stared at him in disbelief. Then I spoke word by word, "I'm sorry, I won't be the other woman." What did he take me for? Back then, I had submitted myself to him for my mother's sake. Countless times when I felt humiliated, I silently comforted myself. At least he didn't have a girlfriend. At least my existence wasn't hurting anyone else. But what was this now? The other woman? Damian frowned. "What are you talking about? You're married, aren't you? Since you have a wife, why won't you let me go?" Now, the confusion on his face deepened. "Who said I got married? Vivian Hayes, have you lost your mind?" 10. I couldn't hold back anymore and just let loose. "Aren't you married to Miss Beaumont? I know you've always loved her. The reason you were interested in me back then was because our profiles look a bit similar. I saw it when I went to your house that day, and your son, he really looks like you. So, please stop making such shameless demands." After I finished, he stared at me for a long moment, then suddenly laughed. The next second, he pulled me forcefully into his arms. His possessive kiss descended again, overwhelming me, leaving me nowhere to run. Furious, I kept hitting him, but it had no effect at all. Helpless, I bit down hard. The taste of blood spread in my mouth, but even so, he didn't let go. Finally, panting and almost unable to breathe, Damian released me. He wiped his lip, frowning. "Vivian Hayes, are you part dog? You're the dog, your whole family are dogs otherwise, why would he be like a stubborn leech, impossible to shake off? Gotten bold, daring to curse at me now." He chuckled softly. After laughing, his expression suddenly turned serious. "I'm not married, and I don't have children. The child you saw that day is my cousin's. Also, I don't like Sophia Beaumont. To be precise, I never have." I didn't understand his words. What did he mean? He didn't like Sophia. Could it be that he likes me? How is that possible? As I was thinking, he nodded. "Yes, I like you. Ever since that day I attended the award ceremony at your university, it was love at first sight. You don't want me fighting you for Annie's custody, right? So you have another option, marry me, become Mrs. Remington. I'll give you 3 days. After 3 days, I'll come for your answer." 11. After Damian left, I sat on the sofa, lost in thought for a long time. Only when Annie opened her door and said she was hungry did I quickly go make her food. It was already late, so I just cooked 2 bowls of wontons for us. As we were eating, Annie asked me, "Mommy, is Uncle Damian really my daddy?" I never thought I'd be asked this question when she was 5. After thinking for a long time, I asked her, "Do you like Uncle Damian?" "He's okay, I guess. Uncle Damian is quite handsome, just a bit fierce. I still prefer Uncle Walter." The Uncle Walter she mentioned was Walter Mason, a middle school history teacher. We met once when his cat got lost, and I found it. Since then, Walter Mason often frequented my flower shop. Although he hadn't said it explicitly, I knew he was pursuing me. I had a pretty good impression of him. No strong feelings of love, but I liked him well enough. After all, a man who likes animals and flowers probably isn't a bad person. But now, Damian's marriage proposal made me anxious again. After thinking about it all night, the next morning, just as I opened the shop, Damian appeared at the door again. "Why are you here? Didn't you say you'd give me 3 days? Afraid you'd run off again." Saying this, he took Annie from my arms without asking and tried to take my hand. I quickly pulled away, keeping my distance. The kindergarten was only 2 kilometers from home. Usually, I'd either take Annie on my electric scooter or we'd walk. Downstairs, as I wheeled out the scooter, Damian frowned. "You use this to take my daughter?" I was speechless. "Is there a problem?" "It's so cold." "Don't let her catch cold. Get in the car." Glancing at his flashy Lamborghini, I refused without even thinking. "No, thank you. Your car is too cramped, there's no room. Mr. Remington, please leave." He laughed coldly out of anger. "Vivian Hayes, how did I never realize before how sharp-tongued you are?" I retorted coldly. "Before, you were my sponsor. Are you still?" After I said that, he got even angrier. Just as he grabbed my arm, trying to force me into the car, someone stopped him. "Vivian, need help." It was Walter Mason. He was wearing sportswear, looking like he'd just finished a morning run. "Mr. Mason, good morning." "Morning." Beside us, Annie also greeted him sweetly. "Hi, Uncle Walter." "Uncle Walter, when are you taking Annie to see the dinosaur fossils?" "Good girl, Annie. We'll go when you have a school holiday." Walter Mason patted Annie's head, then looked towards Damian beside the car. "Vivian, and this is—" "Oh, he's an old friend." After I spoke, Damian's face darkened. He spoke word by word, his tone so cold it could freeze water. "Vivian Hayes, say that again. What is our relationship?" 12 After I reiterated that we were just friends, Damian stormed off. But that afternoon, he showed up again at Annie's kindergarten gate. I ignored him, so he drove behind us, watching us go upstairs. That night, his car never left. In the middle of the night, I got up to close the window and saw him leaning against the car, smoking silently. Our gazes met midair, then quickly broke apart. For 3 days straight, he kept a close watch on me, never leaving for a moment. On the evening of the 3rd day, he stopped me, his gaze burning. "Have you decided? Will you marry me?" Looking at his stern features, I realized belatedly that somewhere along the line, I was no longer afraid of him. After pausing for a moment, under his expectant gaze, I shook my head. "No, Damian. I don't want to marry you." "Why?" "Because our relationship was never equal. 8 years ago, for a large sum of money, I sold myself to you. Whatever you told me to do, I had to do. I hated your dominance and possessiveness, but I couldn't refuse. I hated the way your friends looked at me, but I had no right to talk back. I was your little canary, your plaything. When you remembered me, you'd toy with me. When you got bored, you'd toss me aside. You never respected me. So I don't want to go back to you. Every second I see you reminds me of that painful past. Mr. Remington, I'm begging you, please let me go." Having said it all in one breath, it felt like a heavy stone had finally been lifted from my chest. I quietly waited for Damian's counterattack. Maybe he'd be angry, maybe he'd turn nasty, but I never expected him to laugh bitterly. "Vivian Hayes, you're saying those 3 years with me were painful. Fine, just great. I must be fucking crazy to have fallen in love with a heartless, ungrateful woman like you. Don't worry. If I ever show up in front of you again, I'm a dog." After saying this, he stormed off. Annie tugged at my hand. "Mommy, does Daddy not want us anymore?" "Annie, sweetie, Mommy and Daddy both have their own lives, but our love for you is the same, understand?" "I understand." Annie nodded, then reached out her chubby little hand and wiped my face. "Mommy, don't cry." Strange, was I crying? But surely it was just raining. 13 Damian Remington was always a man of his word. After that day, he indeed didn't appear again. Life slowly returned to its former peace. Although Annie would occasionally ask about him, her attention was quickly diverted by new toys. Occasionally, I would think about the past. If our beginning hadn't been so absurd, would things have ended differently now? Truthfully, I did love him once. The love and hate of youth are always mixed together, hard to tell apart. While I felt ashamed for climbing into his bed for money, I couldn't help but secretly develop feelings for him. He came from an extraordinary background, always the center of attention wherever he went. His features were handsome, and when he was occasionally gentle, Beneath his long lashes, his eyes seemed to hold infinite affection. During those days, he not only spent lavishly on me and showed me sights I'd never seen before, but also, after Mom passed away, countless times when I woke from nightmares, he held sleepless me tightly. During those dark, difficult nights, he was my only support, so I once harbored secret hopes. I sometimes wondered, did he like me even a little bit? But then, 3 years passed. With his continuous failure to publicly acknowledge our relationship, and Sophia Beaumont's return, the faint flame of hope that had once flickered in my heart unconsciously died out. Now, 5 years later, he actually says he loves me. Who would believe that? It was just his pride. Mr. High and Mighty Damian Remington had never been dumped before, so he couldn't accept it. The weather grew colder. It was a Friday, the sky grayish-yellow, looking like it would snow that night. The kindergarten gate was crowded with parents picking up their children. I waited at the entrance, saw Annie come out, and hurried over. Just as I took her hand, about to ask if she was cold, screams erupted from behind us. I instinctively turned around. A man had appeared out of nowhere. Holding a kitchen knife, he was slashing wildly like a madman in the crowd. Several children had already fallen in pools of blood. Parents cried and tried to rush forward but were forced back by his knife. In the blink of an eye, he rushed towards Annie and me. In that instant, my mind went blank. I wanted to run, but my feet felt rooted to the spot, refusing to obey. Seeing the knife about to fall, I instinctively hugged Annie tightly and shut my eyes. The pain I expected didn't come. The next second, I heard a familiar muffled groan. Opening my eyes, I saw Damian, whom I hadn't seen in a while, had appeared from somewhere. He held Annie and me, saying with a smile, "Don't be afraid, it's okay." "Damian, you." Before he finished speaking, he collapsed. Only then did I realize his back was covered in blood. Just moments before, in the critical instant, he had rushed behind me and taken the blow for me. After the brief chaos, the madman was finally subdued by the crowd. Annie was terrified stiff. She burst out crying with a wah, her cries heart-wrenching. "Mommy, is Daddy going to die?" Unconsciously, tears were streaming down my face. The smell of blood filled the air, making me feel dizzy. I held Damian tightly, constantly begging him, "Damian, wake up, don't scare me, I beg you." 14 outside the ICU, it was crowded with anxious family members. The attacker had been caught. Awaiting him was the severe punishment of the law. But he only had one life to give, and today there were 6 dead and 5 injured. 11 families were plunged into grief. They surely wouldn't be able to celebrate the new year well. I chose a less crowded corner, and finally managed to lull Annie to sleep. Just as I was about to check on Damian, someone took the seat beside me. It was Sophia Beaumont. We had never met, but we had long known of each other. Looking at me, she sighed. "It really is you. Only you could make him disregard everything, even his own life." I stared at her blankly. "What are you saying? Did you know, Miss Hayes, I've always envied you. Since childhood, I knew I was destined to marry Damian. So I always chased after him and didn't allow other women near him. But he never liked me. Not only that, he found me annoying. Later, my heart was broken, and I left the country in a fit of pique. During those years abroad, I kept waiting for him to give in and beg me to come back. But instead, I heard news that he had you by his side. So, disregarding my pride and self-respect, I rushed back in panic. That night, I thought he was there to welcome me back. But he told me he wouldn't marry me because he had fallen in love with someone else. I cried and made a scene, even threatened suicide. He was afraid of a fallout between our families, so he agreed to stay with me for a few days until I came to my senses. I thought he would eventually change his mind. It was just a matter of time. But the next day, when he heard you had run off, his face changed completely. Later, Mr. Remington SR beat him countless times because of you. He searched the whole world for you, practically wanting to turn the world upside down. I tried throwing myself at him, but he wouldn't even look at me. Gradually, I couldn't wait any longer, so I married his cousin. I always wanted to see if he was really that devoted, willing to be celibate for life because of you. That's Damian Remington we're talking about. Since he was young, what kind of woman couldn't he have? And you, your family is so poor. Besides a pretty face, what else is good about you? I don't understand. I really don't understand. Yeah, I don't understand either. So, I have to wait for him to wake up and ask him clearly myself. 15 Damian was badly injured. I waited at the hospital all night, but he still hadn't woken up. The next day, Annie developed a slight fever and kept talking deliriously. The doctor said the flu season was severe, and hospitals were prone to cross-infection, advising me to take the child home as soon as possible. Helpless, I had no choice but to go back first. 3 days later, I had just woken up when I saw a message sent late at night by Damian's assistant, saying he was awake. I quickly got dressed, preparing to hurry to the hospital. But when I opened the door, I found Damian sitting on the floor outside, pale-faced. I had no idea how long he had been waiting. I got a huge shock. "What are you doing here?" "I'll take you back to the hospital." "I don't want to go back. Vivian Hayes, go ahead, laugh at me. I'm a dog, woof woof woof. I broke my word, I appeared before you again." I sighed and helped him inside. Just as he lay down on the sofa, Annie climbed up next to him. Her big eyes were filled with confusion. "Daddy, why did you say you were a doggy? Isn't being a person good?" Damian's silence was deafening. Standing nearby, I almost burst from holding back laughter. "Annie, sweetie, go play by yourself, okay? Daddy has something to say to Mommy. When we're done, Daddy will take you to get KFC. "Okay," the little girl nodded, and seeing I didn't object, happily took my phone to her room to watch cartoons. I poured a glass of water and handed it to Damian. "You're so badly hurt, what are you doing running over here?" "Afraid my wife would run away." "Who's your wife? Who do you think?" Saying this, he gently took my hand and asked pitifully, "Are you still angry?" I shook my head. "I was never angry at you. Then, why didn't you want to marry me?" "I thought you asked me to marry you because you couldn't stand being dumped by me. I thought. You were lying when you said you loved me." Halfway through my sentence, he kissed me again. This time, I didn't refuse. After a long moment, he gently released me. Our foreheads touched, eyes meeting. He asked me, "What else did you think?" "Nothing. Damian, I love you." I finally said it. It feels so good. Hearing this, he was overjoyed and looked at me in disbelief. "Really? You're not just saying that because I saved you out of gratitude, are you? Really?" Saying this, I wrapped my arms around his neck and continued the kiss from before. I don't know how long Damian's love will last. I don't know how many obstacles we'll face in the future. But at least in this moment, I want to try. Life is short, seize the day. In the past 5 years, I dreamed of Damian countless times. Some say, if someone appears in your dreams, you should go see them when you wake up. Now my beautiful dream has finally come true. Damian? Well then, let's face the rest of our lives together. Extra, Damian's perspective. The first time I saw Vivian Hayes, it was an ordinary day. She was wearing a gaudy dress, but her face had skin like porcelain. That day, she accidentally spilled wine on me. After being scolded by the principal, her face flushed red. She looked like she wanted to cry but held it back. In that moment I thought, I wonder what she'd look like if she really cried. But it was just a passing thought, just a woman. What kind of woman couldn't I, Damian Remington, have? Normally, I would have forgotten about her. But who knew, before long, she actually came asking for my help. Since the little white rabbit delivered herself to my door, escaping again wouldn't be up to her. Just as I thought. Vivian Hayes was beautiful when she cried. Of course, even more beautiful at other times. Every time I watched her cry and beg for mercy, I felt a fire burning inside me, making me hot all over. I signed an agreement with her, bought her for 5 years. But after just a few months, I became greedy. I wanted to tie her down, for life, not letting her go anywhere. But what kind of family is the Remington family? My parents would never accept her. Compared to my feelings, they cared more about the family's interests. So I could only plan step by step. On one hand, keeping her hidden, not letting her interact with my circle. On the other, slowly taking control of Remington Corp, bit by bit. That day was my birthday. After becoming an adult, I always spent my birthdays with Colin and the gang. But that night, I couldn't wait to go home to hold her. The next day, I originally planned to make things clear with Sophia and then propose to Vivian. But I never expected Sophia would threaten suicide. No choice, I had to watch her at the hotel. Of course, nothing happened that night. Besides me, my assistant was also there. I asked Sophia what she really wanted. Except for marriage, I would try to satisfy her other requests. She said she wanted to visit the university again. So I accompanied her to Capital University. At the school gate, I thought of Vivian again. What was she doing right now? I didn't go back last night, would she be worried? But who knew, after just one night, that damn woman ran off. I was furious at first, decided that when she came back, I would punish her severely. Later, I started to get scared, afraid she would never come back. After that, like a madman, I searched frantically all over the world for her. Sophia wouldn't give up on me, came looking for me late at night several times. My parents and relatives also introduced me to many women, plenty with better figures than Vivian, more beautiful. But none of them were her. I didn't like any of them. I thought life would just go on like this. Just a woman, would I, Damian Remington, die without her? But then she just had to reappear. Did she think I wouldn't recognize her just because she wore a mask? Ridiculous. Even if she turned to ash, I'd still know her. I followed her for several days and then discovered she actually had a daughter. That adorable little girl looked exactly like me when I was little. Although I did a DNA test to shut my parents up, I knew in my heart she was my daughter. The woman I love with our precious child had finally come back. This time, I absolutely would not let her escape again. The end.